Hello, I have chosen to use a photograph by Joel Sternfeld. This picture was taken in McLean, Virginia on December of 1978. So, for me, the mood and the feeling of this picture, I kind of get a little bit of a feeling of anxious and nervousness because there is a fire in the background. But I also have a sense of feeling like I'm sad. This picture kind of gives off a sad vibe to me. I guess it's due to the fact that if you look at the trees in the background, there's no leaves on them. The ground in front of us here in the foreground, it's brown and dead, and the trees kind of in the middle of the picture are beginning to die as well. We know since it is taken in December that that's the time stuff dies, but to me that's kind of like a depressing, sad, anxious feeling, however you want to put it. So first I want to talk about some of the principles of art that are used in this photograph. First off, I'll talk about the color. So we have different hues in this picture. We have orange in the foreground with the pumpkins. We can see that some of the pumpkins are a little lighter, like a lighter shade than others, and you can see that being is whether or not the sun is beat down along the top. You can see the tops of the pumpkins are a little lighter than the bottom, and also some of the pumpkins are smashed. The smashed pumpkins look a little lighter in the shade. Also, we can talk about, I've already discussed about the ground, how the ground is kind of that brown tannish look that we know that the grass is dead. Also, we can talk about the color of the fire in the background. That kind of stands out since everything back there is kind of more of a neutral color. You have a little bit of green on the house is what it looks like, but other than that, it's kind of like a white or grayish tone, of course with the black smoke. So next I want to talk about the value, so the lightness or darkness of a certain hue. So if you look into the fire a little bit more, so at the root of the fire we can see it's right on top of the roof there. That's going to be a lighter orange. That's where we know that the fire is or has started. And the further you look up in the picture, closer to the smoke, the fire has turned to a darker orange, almost a red. So that shows the different element of value. Also, the emphasis in this picture is kind of different than what you may expect. There is a fire going on in the background, but the emphasis of this picture is the farmer's market down there at the bottom, or I say the bottom, more of the middle of the picture. That's where the firefighter is looking at pumpkins. The front of that farmer's market is the emphasis of the picture. We also have the element of movement. So we see movement here with the smoke going up and to the left. That could lead us to believe that there's possibly some wind that day. We can also see the fire has its not as much on the right side, but on the left side we can see it being a little bit more present. So that leads me to believe that there's some wind on this day that the fire had taken place. We can talk about the figure ground. So we've got the foreground and the background. So in the foreground, we've got just a bunch of pumpkins laying on the ground. Some of them are smashed, some of them are big, some are small, etc., etc. And then more in the middle of the picture, like the emphasis that we talked earlier, is the farmer's market. But obviously in the background, one of the things that your eye is drawn to is the fire that's happening in the background. Also, we have the golden mean. So we can see if we were to split this picture in half, most of the picture is going to be on the left side. So I would say about 66%, 67% of the picture is heavier on the left side than it is the right side, which that qualifies for the golden mean. Also, we can see here that the emphasis is actually not technically in the center of the photo. So with the rule of thirds, if we were to make 9 squares throughout this picture, the farmer's market would not actually be that middle square. So here we can see how it's a little bit shifted to the left. It's still in the middle, I guess the middle row, but more in the first column, if that makes sense. So those are some of the things that I noticed with this picture from Joel Sternfeld. This picture was taken, obviously, in McLean, Virginia on December 1978.